So let's talk about the beast from the book of Revelation. It's a figure that has sparked so much fear and, let's be honest, tons of speculation for centuries. But what if we've been asking the wrong question this whole time? Today, we're diving into a perspective from our source material that reimagines the beast, not as some future monster, but as something way, way closer to home, the very architecture of our allegiance.
I mean, this is always the first question, right? Who is it? We're all conditioned to look for a villain, a specific person, a particular nation, or some future tyrant. And that question fuels endless debates. But as we're about to see, it might just be a massive distraction from the real point.
Because what if that's the wrong question entirely? The interpretation we're digging into today argues that by focusing on who, we completely miss what's at stake. So to really get it, we need to basically reframe the whole conversation.
Okay, so if we're not supposed to be looking for a specific enemy, where does that leave us? Well, the core idea here is that Revelation is fundamentally about a choice. It's a choice of who or what we really worship. It's a choice of where we make our covenant and ultimately where we place our allegiance.
And this is the key insight from the source. Revelation is not merely about nations, it is about allegiance. It is about covenant. That simple shift really calls us to look inward, at the systems we trust and the powers we serve, instead of just pointing fingers at some external bad guy. Now, to really wrap our heads around this perspective, we kind of have to learn to speak its language. The book of Revelation is just packed with these powerful symbols that have really deep historical roots. So let's decode a few of the most important ones and see how they build this much bigger picture. First up, the beast is said to rise from the sea. Now, this is not a literal ocean. In the symbolic language of the Bible, the sea represents the chaotic, churning mass of humanity. That's all of us, folks. And this is a huge first clue. The beast doesn't come from some weird, otherworldly place. It emerges directly from our own collective societies. Next, we have horns. Throughout ancient writings, horns are this constant symbol of power and strength, the raw authority of kings and rulers. So when you see horns in this text, think of the concentrated, delegated power that makes any system work. And then you've got the heads. So if horns are the raw power, the heads are the governing structures that direct that power. The councils, the parliaments, all the authorities. They represent the seats of government and control that give a kingdom its direction. So what happens when you put all these symbols together, the sea of humanity, the horns of power, and the heads of government? You don't get a single monster. You get a composite image, a picture of a global beast system that's built from all these different facets of human power. The system is described as being like a leopard, and this represents its speed and its dominion. Think about the incredible efficiency and global reach of our modern human systems, how they can spread ideas and control almost instantly across the entire world. It's also got feet like a bear, which symbolizes this immense brute strength and the power of conquest. This is the military and industrial might of organized human power, something capable of just crushing any opposition. And finally, it has a mouth like a lion. This represents the authority to speak, to make laws, and to issue decrees that people have to obey. It's the power of legislation and judgment that gives the system its voice and its rules. And here is where it all comes together. The source argues that the beast isn't just one of these things, but a fusion of them all. It's government, religion, the economy, and the military all merged into one single interconnected global system, all of it functioning without any allegiance to a higher covenant. And the scope of this system is made crystal clear in the text. Its authority is worldwide, covering every tribe, tongue, and nation. This just hammers home the idea that we're not talking about a single country, but a pattern of human organization and allegiance that can show up anywhere. So, this brings us to maybe the most famous and, frankly, the most feared part of the whole prophecy, the mark of the beast. But if the beast itself is a symbolic system, does it follow that the mark is symbolic too? Well, according to this interpretation, you bet it is. The popular idea is, a physical mark, a microchip, a barcode, something like that. But this interpretation suggests something way more profound. The mark is a symbol of our inner allegiance. The forehead represents our thoughts, our worldview. The right hand represents our actions, what we do. So the true mark, then, is when our thinking and our doing are both completely aligned with this human-centered system. And the system enforces this alignment through the most powerful tool it has, economics. I mean, when our ability to survive, to feed our families, is completely tied to our participation in the system, then just buying and selling becomes a powerful act of allegiance. Our dependence becomes our worship. And the text is just incredibly explicit about this enforcement mechanism. Control over commerce is the ultimate tool. It's not just about what you believe in your head. It's about whether you can actually participate in the day-to-day economic structure.
So, after all this complex symbolism, the horns, the heads, the mark, our source material argues it all boils down to one very simple and deeply personal choice. And this choice confronts every single one of us. The text makes it very clear that the system does not play favorites. It doesn't care if you're small or great, rich or poor, free or a slave. The pressure to give your allegiance, to bear that mark in your thoughts and your actions, it applies to all of humanity.
And so we come full circle. We started with that question, who is the beast? And now we can see why. According to this interpretation, that question is really just a distraction. It points us outward, looking for an enemy to pin everything on.
The real question, the one that truly matters, is an inward one. It's not who is the beast. It's whose authority do you trust? In what system are you placing your ultimate faith for your security, for your provision, for your future? Is it in the structures of human power, or is it somewhere else? And that, right there, is the final powerful takeaway from our source material today. The grand sweep of history isn't just shaped by armies and empires. It's shaped by the individual, daily choices of allegiance made by billions of people. Your allegiance shapes history,